Now, just from looking at this thumbnail, you already know what this video is going to be about. However, before we begin, I first need to make a shout out and an announcement that this channel has officially gotten 50 subscribers. That is awesome. 50 subscribers for a YouTube channel that hasn't been the most active. I mean, it has been in these past 2 weeks or so, but usually I tend to make maybe 3 or 4 videos per week, whereas other channels, they make a video or 2 every single day. And of course, most of it is just filler. Most of it is just reporting on boring news and then putting a fucking clickbait title or whatever to entice people to click and watch it just to be disappointed. This channel doesn't do that. I'm not like Nintendo Prime, Andre's Restart, Sunbro Nation, or Switch Force. All of these guys suck for the most part. This channel isn't going to do that. This channel aims to give you more fanboy content, pro Nintendo content relating to current events, news, all revolving around Nintendo. So, you guys out there, got 50 of you guys, 50 subscribers strong. That is awesome. This channel right now, we are on the road to 1 million subscribers, all right? 1 million subscribers. That is the road that we are on. Not 100, not 1,000, not 100,000. Now we're on the road to 1 million subscribers, guys. So most of you guys I know enjoy the channel, love it. There's like 5 of you guys who are very engaging and active here on this channel. Do everything you can. Always hit like on all videos. Hell, go back to videos you hadn't watched yet and hit like. Leave comments. Engage with the other commenters. Leave as many comments as you can and re-share the video with as many people as you can. Tell your friends about it. Tell your family members about it. Tell your mom, your dad about it. Tell your pet dog about it. Tell your boss at work. Tell everybody. Let's get this channel to get 1 million Nintendo fanboys to subscribe to it. All right? This channel is going to be better than every other channel out there. Now, look, I'm not the best when it comes to making these videos. I don't have like a very good mic or whatever. I don't do all of this voice editing to edit out moments where I stutter or where I mess up or where I'm kind of like just breathing or whatever. I'm not a professional, at least not when it comes to the editing and things of that nature. I'm good at making these thumbnails, and I'm just kind of good at like, I guess, a high output of videos for the most part, since I just kind of just record my voice and then add some videos and images later. Sometimes I talk while I'm recording a video. So I'm not a pro at in any stretch of the imagination, but I still try to put meaningful content. I'm not going to do this bullshit where I talk about really boring daily news that isn't that enticing and then slap a bullshit thumbnail, a clickbait thumbnail that makes it seem like it's exciting news just to disappoint you guys. I'm getting sick and tired of that. I'm also getting sick and tired of most of these Nintendo grifters not wanting to have anything to do with like fanboy content. They're just very lukewarm and lame like that. Not this channel. This is for Nintendo fanboys, and it's also to make the stupid ass Nintendo haters out there cry as well, because they don't really have much of a life. So I'm happy to have them subscribe as well, just so they could have something that just makes them angry on a daily basis. All right, one more important thing. I do want to make a huge shout out to Retro Fusion Gaming. This is one of my favorite Nintendo fanboy channels out there. Maybe he's not a fanboy, maybe he just loves Nintendo because they are making the best games. Either way, you gotta go subscribe to him, check him out. That's Retro Fusion Gaming. It's a Z instead of an S in the word fusion. Go check him out. He makes probably the best shorts out there. They're very funny. He talks in his southern accent, something that I wish I had. Instead, I got this bullshit Yankee sound kind of accent. Sound like I'm from New York or New Jersey, but I ain't. I'm from Texas, and yeah, for some reason, I got this bullshit Northeast accent. But Retro Fusion Gaming, he actually has a southern accent, so I'm a little bit jealous of him. Anyways, go check him out. I highly recommend his channel. I love the shorts that he does, and I hope if he gets more subscribers, he'll actually upload shorts maybe on a daily basis, because the way he delivers the messages in his shorts, he does it better than anybody else. I'll say that. I'm surprised he doesn't get like millions of views on those shorts, because he does a hell of a good job, and he doesn't like just talk bullshit just to piss people off. He doesn't just make things up. He actually speaks facts and things of that nature, but he does it in such a way that just makes his shorts very entertaining. So go check him out. Go check out Retro Fusion Gaming. Definitely my favorite, one of my favorite Nintendo YouTubers out there, because they're just, unfortunately, there ain't that many. People keep talking about Harmon Smith. I gotta say, I'm not a fan of that guy, and to be honest, I think Harmon Smith is just a guy trying to make Nintendo fans look like dorks and idiots. That's just what I think. But this guy, he's awesome. Best shorts. Even like his older videos when he used to make full-fledged videos are pretty good and entertaining to watch. But like his shorts are definitely some of the best out there. So go check him out. Go subscribe to Retro Fusion Gaming. So I want to begin this video by talking about a conversation I remember hearing here on YouTube many months ago. It was between a well-known game developer and a PlayStation fangirl. And the PlayStation fangirl, you know, he introduced the game developer, you know, as a legend, you know, welcome everybody to the legend. And, you know, the guy interrupted him, the game developer, and he said, no, I don't like that. I don't like the word legend. I don't think I'm a legend. I'm not a legend. And then the guy's like, really? He's like, yeah, really, no, I'm not a legend. A legend, there's only really one legend, and that's Shigeru Miyamoto. You know, he's the only one that I could think of when you say the word legend. You know, if we had like a video game pantheon, Shigeru Miyamoto, he's basically Zeus. You know, he is the Zeus of video games. And me, I would just be more like, you know, some trickster or whatever. To which the PlayStation fangirl, you know, he basically replied, do you think there's anybody out there that comes close to him? Who do you think comes close to him, close to being on Shigeru Miyamoto's level? Who's almost as legendary as he is? And the game developer basically said, or former game developer, he basically said, you know what, I don't think there is anybody else out there. I don't think there is anyone else. There's not another guy out there that's on Shigeru Miyamoto's level. Now, while I did agree with this at first, I kind of thought about it for maybe 10 minutes, and then I was able to quickly think of a person who is almost just as legendary as Shigeru Miyamoto himself. Doesn't have quite the success, but I believe is almost just as legendary as he is. Now, I have heard some people have told me, even some of my subscribers have said that Shigeru Miyamoto should actually be considered the Kronos of video games, because Kronos is more powerful than Zeus, and that is correct. Kronos did give birth to Zeus and all of the other powerful Greek gods. However, I think the title of Kronos belongs to a different man. Former president of Nintendo, Hiroshi Yamauchi, is the Kronos of video games. The reason for this is because he is the one who actually took Nintendo from being a toy and card playing company into being an actual video game company. So it makes sense to give this man the title of Kronos, since after all, without him, there probably would have never been a Shigeru Miyamoto, a Mario, Donkey Kong, Star Fox, and all the other great legendary and masterpieces that we have today. So let's look at everything this man has done. He was the president of Nintendo from 1949 to 2002. He was the one who transitioned Nintendo into a video game juggernaut. 700 million consoles were sold under his leadership. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe the very last console was the Nintendo Wii. And it was after that when he retired from Nintendo. And of course, he transformed Nintendo into a global powerhouse. So this man definitely would be the Kronos in the pantheon of video games. So here's a fun little fact about Hiroshi Yamauchi. He is the grandson of Masahiro Yamauchi. Now, Masahiro Yamauchi, he didn't have any boys, but he did have girls. And his daughter got married to someone who decided he was going to take on the family name in order to carry on the business of Nintendo. So I think that might be something that goes on in Japan, I guess, where a son-in-law will take the name. He will take his father-in-law's last name or whatever, especially if they're like a businessman, just to pretty much, carry on the name and whatnot. So I just found that to be a pretty interesting fact. So Masahiro Yamauchi, he is the founder of Nintendo. So some would say he's the godfather of gaming. But however, even though he was the founder of Nintendo, it was basically just a card playing company that also made toys. And I believe it was under Hiroshi Yamauchi where they kind of experimented with other things, like a love hotel. Not sure if that's even a thing anymore. They had love hotels. They even did a Nintendo taxi service, I believe. Some other, fun little stuff like that. But Hiroshi Yamauchi, he is the one that took Nintendo and, gave Nintendo the green light to transition into a video game company, which was seen as a very risky move because this was like after or during the crash, the video game crash, after the Atari, the failure of the Atari and that E.T. game. So Hiroshi Yamauchi is definitely the Kronos in the video game pantheon. And once he made that transition into video games, that's when a young Shigeru Miyamoto came aboard, and he would end up being the greatest pioneer of video games of all time. Alright, so shifting back to Shigeru Miyamoto. If game developers were like Greek gods, Shigeru Miyamoto would be Zeus, the father of modern gaming who built the pantheon himself. So now let us analyze his most legendary feats. Shigeru Miyamoto is responsible for giving us Super Mario, The Legend of Zelda, Donkey Kong, Pikmin, Star Fox, F-Zero, and more. Most of them he created himself. A few of them he pretty much co-created. But that's pretty damn good. All of those different characters, all of them are very iconic for the most part. Pikmin does have has its following, but nobody tops Super Mario or The Legend of Zelda or Donkey Kong. As you can see, Mario has sold 830 million copies. That's including, Mario Kart, Mario Party, 2D Mario, 3D Mario. Then you got The Legend of Zelda, which has sold 150 million plus copies. Then there's Donkey Kong at 80 million plus copies sold. So Shigeru Miyamoto, absolutely legendary and very successful. All of his franchises and masterpieces that he created have gone on to sold just legendary numbers that no one else has even come close to replicating. Let's just say that. So, he is the creator of modern platforms. So, now that we all understand that Shigeru Miyamoto is the Zeus of the gaming pantheon, I am going to go back to my original statement where I stated that there is one other game developer out there, a living legend, who does come pretty close to Shigeru Miyamoto's popularity. He may just be almost as popular as Shigeru Miyamoto. So, who am I talking about? That legend would be none other than Masahiro Sakurai. Since we established that Shigeru Miyamoto is the Zeus of the gaming pantheon, what exactly would that make Masahiro Sakurai? Since I consider him to be a legend who is probably just as popular as Shigeru Miyamoto at this point, but probably does not have the same level of success, I think it makes sense to consider Masahiro Sakurai to be the Hercules of the gaming pantheon. We all know that Hercules is a demigod. He is not as powerful as Zeus. However, Masahiro Sakurai is the tireless hero who gave us Super Smash Bros. And continues to outwork everyone in the industry. Just like Hercules, who, even though he is a demigod, he has some of the most amazing feats of strength and some of the most legendary battles against Hydra, against that immortal lion. So many different monsters and gods he was able to defeat, like Hades. So Masahiro Sakurai, he is definitely the Hercules of game development by far. I don't think there's anyone else that even comes close to being on his level. So now let's analyze his accomplishments. Of course, he is most famous for the Super Smash Bros. Series. That is the greatest fighting game ever. It has sold a total of 77 million plus copies worldwide. Then you got his series, his very first creation, the character that he created himself, Kirby. Kirby has sold over 50 million copies worldwide, and even had a very popular anime in Japan and ended up being dubbed to English, and it actually had like about 100 episodes, which from what I hear is rare for an anime. So they were able to air 100 episodes, and I would highly recommend you guys go check that out because a lot of people say they're actually really good. Lastly, just Smash Ultimate alone sold 34 million copies, just that one game, and that makes it the best-selling fighter of all time. So, Masahiro Sakurai, he is most known for giving us the greatest fighting video game, and it's also considered to be the greatest crossover video game, having other characters, other popular characters from other franchises join in on the fight. Sakurai is considered to be the master of accessibility and depth. You can't find another fighting game out there like Super Smash Bros. That just has endless replay value to it. It's got so much content, so much things to unlock, discover, and then there's just the amazing fighting mechanics itself. So that's a game that you can pick up and play today, right now, even though it's a game that's about, I don't know, how old is that game? Like 10 or 12 years old or something? It's a very old game, but it's just jam-packed with content, and they're the kind of games that will last you forever. Nobody else I can think of has made a game like that. So now this brings us to a pretentious, fart-sniffing piece of shit known as Hideo Kojima. One of the most overrated game developers. Actually, I think he is the most overrated. He's got his little cult following of goofballs who pretend that he's some kind of a legend, but he's not. He really is not. This guy, the only thing he is known for, the only thing he's ever done good in the gaming industry was Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, and that's it. So now you are all wondering, why do I even bring this guy's name up? And the reason I bring up Hideo Kojima is because of that conversation that I was talking about earlier between the video game developer, or former video game developer, now retired, and the PlayStation fangirl, who were basically going back and forth talking about, who are the legends of the video game pantheon. Well, the PlayStation fangirl, he replied and said, I would think that, Hideo Kojima is up there or is close to being as legendary as Shigeru Miyamoto. And the game developer was like, no, he's not even close. And he's right. Shigeru Miyamoto, or rather Hideo Kojima is nowhere near being close to Shigeru Miyamoto's level. He's not even close to being Masahiro Sakurai's level. Not even. So Hideo Kojima, this boring, fart-sniffing loser who just admires himself way too much. So who is Hideo Kojima in the video game pantheon? Well, he would be the effeminate Greek person known as Narcissus. So Narcissus was just this effeminate weirdo who saw his own reflection, fell in love with his own beauty, or what he perceived to be beauty, and he just wouldn't stop staring at it until he eventually died of hunger because he was too busy admiring himself. And that's pretty much Hideo Kojima in a nutshell. This guy lately, his games like Death Stranding 1 and 2, super boring video games, very pretentious, cinematic experiences. There's more running and walking than there is actual gameplay. You're just delivering shit from point A to point B, and that's about it. The only people pretending that those games are fun are just PlayStation fangirls, and that's it. Now, people will credit him for the Metal Gear Solid franchise, and while the first 2 games were good, maybe even the first 3 games were pretty good, Metal Gear Solid is not the best tactical stealth game there is. Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell is far better. Even the Hitman games are far better. Those two, there's even probably 007 and James Bond games that are better than Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid, yeah, cool. It was probably, you can probably argue that he pioneered the stealth and tactical genre, but it's not even the best in that category. However, I'm just going to quickly disprove this idea that Hideo Kojima is a legend in the world of gaming, or that he's even close to being one. And I don't have to do it by comparing him to the legend himself, Shigeru Miyamoto. I could compare him to a different legend, and that being Masahiro Sakurai. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to compare the total number of copies that have been sold from all of the franchises that were made by Masahiro Sakurai and the ones that were made by Hideo Kojima. Now, it would have taken way too long to do each individual game from both of these guys. That would be probably like what? Maybe like, who knows, 20, 30, 50 games. I mean, there's a lot of Kirby video games out there. There's probably, 5 or 7 of the Metal Gear Solid games, 5 of the Super Smash Brothers games. So, yeah, I'm just going to make it simple, and I'm just going to add the total of how many copies were sold by each respective franchise. So up first, we have Sakurai's most popular franchise, Super Smash Brothers, and the total number of copies that franchise has sold is 77 million copies. Next, we got Kirby, his very first creation, and Kirby, the entire series, the entire franchise has sold 51 million copies. Alright, this now brings us to Hideo Kojima's franchises, starting with Metal Gear Solid, which has sold 40 million copies. And last and certainly least would be Death Stranding, which has only sold 6.5 million copies. So as you all can see, Masahiro Sakurai is like 50 times more successful than Hideo Kojima. Super Smash Bros. And Kirby total has sold close to 130 million copies worldwide. Whereas Hideo Kojima's Metal Gear Solid and Death Stranding series has only sold 46 million copies worldwide. Now, some people are going to try to say, wait a minute, Sakurai did not make every single Kirby game. He didn't direct every single Kirby game. And while that's true, even if we just remove the entire Kirby franchise from this chart, Super Smash Bros. Still has Metal Gear and Death Stranding together beat by like 30 million copies. So, doesn't really matter. But you know what? We will include every single Kirby video game because Masahiro Sakurai created Kirby, and so it counts. So, in total, Masahiro Sakurai has Hideo Kojima beat by 84 million copies sold of all of their video games. Not even close. Alright, so there you have it, guys. That is pretty much the end of my video. Masahiro Sakurai, he is a gaming legend. He is up there with Shigeru Miyamoto. May not be as popular, may not be as successful, but he has definitely left behind a powerful legacy in the world of gaming. Unlike Hideo Kojima, who's just an overrated, pretentious fucking fart sniffer, whose video games are just cinematic experiences. The guy is really just a wannabe Hollywood director. That's really all he is. And that's why he only works for PlayStation. That's why he only makes his games for PlayStation, because he's such a fucking hack. He knows that Nintendo fans aren't gonna buy that crap. So, there you have it. You would think the guy would work for Xbox, considering that he's like the reverse weeaboo and he's trying to be like American or something. So, but then again, PlayStation is pretty much a weeaboo video game company that only wants to cater to Western gamers. The only problem is that it caters to the wrong kinds of Western gamers. So, guys, in the comments section, let me know what y'all think. Do you agree with everything I said? Well, you should, because everything was factual. But as far as, you know, the pantheon of video games is concerned, do y'all agree with everything I said in that regard? Anyways, with all that being said, you guys go ahead and hit like, subscribe, share the video. We are on the road to 1 million subscribers, and I'm sure we can get there, especially if we just find all of the Nintendo fanboys out there who have to be getting sick and tired of all of these stupid Nintendo haters. You got all these stupid asses like the Angry Vigilante Show, Nintendine, Fratanga plays that fucking retard. You got that faggot Alex, oh no it's Alex or whatever. You just got all of these stupid ass degenerate losers out there who just keep pumping out stupid content bashing Nintendo because Nintendo is winning. The Switch 2 is killing it. They know this. These are all just PC gamers, PlayStation fangirls. Some of them are Xbox fangirls, but it's mostly PlayStation and PC gamers. This channel is going to be for the Nintendo fanboy who despises all of these fucking losers. And it's for any Nintendo fan for that matter. If you love Nintendo and you're a Nintendo enthusiast, you are welcome here. But we do want to reach out and reach the Nintendo fanboys of the world. So, yeah, anytime you hear people trying to put Hideo Kojima's name next to Shigeru Miyamoto's name, you go ahead and refer to them this video, so that way they can get educated. Anyways. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please subscribe to Retro Fusion Gaming. The guy's awesome. He makes great content. Love his shorts, and I hope he gets millions of subscribers as well because his shorts are really that good. Anyways, that being said, guys, you all take care. Enjoy your weekend.